At night, when the Sayyid is at home, he's mourning the loss of his eldest son. He's sitting with his wife, his children. They come and tell him, Sayyid, we have caught the Shaykh. And if you want us to execute him, we will execute him right now. Look at what the Sayyid says. He says in Farsi, he says, when it is translated to English, he says, I cannot bear losing two sons in the same day. The killer of his son, he considers him his own son. He says, I cannot handle losing two children in one day. No, do not kill him. Forgiveness. This is forgiveness. If a person can forgive the killer of his own son, we cannot forgive our mother or father for being abusive, or for saying a word or two that upset us or hurt us. Forgiveness, my dear friend. وَلِمَنْ صَبَرَ وَغَفَرَ إِنَّ ذَلِكَ مِنْ عَزْمِ الْأُمُورِ. طيب. The hadith says, صِلْ مَنْ قَطَعَكَ وَأَحْسِنْ إِلَى مَنْ أَسَاءَ إِلَيْكَ. Have a good tie with someone who cut off their ties with you. You have a cousin that doesn't call you, you call them. You have a brother that doesn't speak to you, you speak to them. You have parents that are abusive to you, you be good to them. Another hadith says, عَاتِبْ أَخَاكَ الْمُؤْمِنِ بِالْإِحْسَانِ إِلَيْهِ. You want to punish someone? You want to punish someone dearly? Make them really pay? Be kind to them. Look at how much they will regret being evil to you. Because when I do something bad to someone and they return the bad behavior to me, it could affect me, it could not affect me. But if I'm abusive towards someone and that someone is kind to me, that will kill me inside. I will feel remorse. I will feel regret that what did I do to this person? This person did not, he did not deserve for me to treat them in this way. These are the teachings of Islam, my dear friends. So let's go back to the first question. Should we cut off ties with family members? Absolutely not. Here in the West, it's very normal for a son not to speak to his father for 10 years. You've heard the term an estranged father. I never knew. I didn't understand. Estranged father. How could that be? Yes, indeed. A father that doesn't see his son or daughter for 20 years. Or an estranged mother. A mother that doesn't see their children for 5 years, 10 years. This is normal. But in Islam, this is not normal. This is not normal. To cut off ties with family members, not to speak with them, to delete them, to block them. This is not normal. This is unacceptable. Never cut off ties with family members, no matter how abusive they are. Keep that tie, because one day or another, they'll come back. They'll come back to their reason. Especially if you show kindness to them, they will show remorse and they will come back. There's a hadith that I'd like to read you by Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. A beautiful hadith. A beautiful hadith. He says, لما سأله جهم ibn Hamid. Juhm ibn Hamid, one of the companions of Imam Sadiq, he says, يكون لي القرابة على غير أمري ألهم علي حق. He says, I have family members that are not Muslim. They have not accepted the truth. They are not Muslim. Do they have any rights upon me? The Imam says, Na'am, of course. Of course they have rights upon you. حق الرحم لا يقطعه شيء. The right of family members, nothing can eradicate that. Nothing can eradicate that. وإذا كانوا على أمرك كان لهم حقان. And if they follow your religion, if they are Muslim, then they have two rights. The right of them being Muslim and the right of them being your relatives. If you have a relative that is not a Muslim or not a follower of Ahl-e-Bait, doesn't mean that you can cut off your ties with them. That's not a justification just because they do not follow your religion or your school of thought. If they are Muslim or they follow the school of thought of Ahl-e-Bait, yes, they have even more rights. But if they're not, doesn't mean that they don't have rights. Another hadith narrated by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. He says, إن الرجل ليصل رحمه وما بقي من عمره إلا ثلاثة أيام. He says a person has 3 days remaining in his life. But because he has a good tie with family members, he picks up the phone, calls the family members, goes and visits a family member, sends in Western Union money to a distant relative, a relative that lives in a distant area that's in need. فَيُنْسِئُهُ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ 30 سَنَةً. Allah will turn the 3 days into 30 years. Into 30 years. And on the contrary, وَإِنَّ الرَّجُلْ لَيَقْطَعُ الرَّحِمِ. And if a man cuts off his ties, وَقَدْ بَقِيَ مِنْ عُمُرِهِ 30 سَنَةً. And he was destined to live for 30 years, فَيُصَيِّرُهُ اللَّهُ إِلَى 3 أيام. Allah will make the 30 years into 3 days. Because of cutting off your family ties. Nothing prolongs the life of a person like Salat al-Rahim. You want a long life? Have a close tie with family members. Parents, siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents, even distant relatives, second cousin, third cousins. Have close ties with them. Pick up the phone, call them, send them money if they're in need, visit them, ask about them. It doesn't cost you anything. There were prophets who had toxic family members. There were imams who had toxic family members. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, his uncle Abu Lahab. Abu Lahab was an abusive uncle. He was a toxic uncle. He disbelieved in Rasulullah. He rejected him. He called him a liar. And he was the uncle of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, his cousin Zubayr. Zubayr led an army against Imam Ali. Zubayr was the cousin of Imam Ali. They were cousins, but he was a toxic cousin. He was an abusive cousin who led an army against Amir al-Mu'mineen. Why? Because he expected Imam Ali to give him a job, to give him a political position. And Amir al-Mu'mineen, his administration was not based on who's related to him. If it's his cousin or nephew, no. It was based on criteria. It was based on merit, not based on blood ties. That's why he rejected. He did not give Zubayr any position, and Zubayr leads an army against Imam Ali alayhi salam. طيب. And Imam Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam with his nephew Ali ibn Ismail. Ali ibn Ismail, the nephew of Imam Musa ibn Ja'far, he goes to Harun and he says, Assalamu alayk, ya Harun. He says, why do you not call me Amir al-Mu'mineen? He said, there are 2 Amir al-Mu'mineens on earth. He said, who's the second? He said, my uncle, Musa ibn Ja'far. He claims to be the Khalifa, and he receives money, and he's preparing an army. And he led to the demise of Imam Musa ibn Ja'far. He led to the poisoning of Imam Musa ibn Ja'far. His own nephew. And also, Imam Musa ibn Ja'far with his own brother Abdullah. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, his eldest son, Abdullah al-Aftah. He was the eldest of Imam al-Sadiq, but the imamah did not come to him. It went to Imam Musa ibn Ja'far. Out of envy and jealousy towards his brother, Imam Musa ibn Ja'far, Abdullah was toxic. He claimed imamah for himself. He did not say that the true imam is Imam Musa ibn Ja'far. He claimed imamah for himself. This is the brother of an imam. طيب. And then Ashura, you have Umar ibn Sa'd. Umar ibn Sa'd was the cousin of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and the cousin of Amir al-Mu'mineen. They were related. They were blood relatives. But what good did this relation do when Umar ibn Sa'd leads an army against Imam Hussein alayhi salam? And finally, another toxic relative, Shimr ibn al-Jawshan. Shimr ibn al-Jawshan was a relative of whom? Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. That is why on the night of Ashura, he came in the middle of the battlefield, he came to the tents of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and he began to shout, Ayna banu ukhtina? Where are my nephews? Meaning Al-Abbas and his brothers. Because Shimr ibn al-Jawshan was from the same tribe as al-Bani. They were from the same tribe. So he came out and said, Ayna banu ukhtina? Ayna al-Abbas wa ikhwatih? Where's Al-Abbas? Where are the brothers of Al-Abbas? But Father Abbas did not reply. Imam Hussein alayhi salam said, reply to him. He's a family member. He's your family member. Ajibhu, walau kana kafiran. Reply to him even if he is a kafir. Reply to him. So Abu Fadl Abbas came out. He said, what do you want? He said, laka al-aman. you have peace. I guarantee you peace from Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. You and your brothers, you will not be killed. If you join our army, you will not be killed. لَكَ الْأَمَانِ. What was the reply of Abu al-Fadl Abbas? He told him, لَعَنَكَ اللَّهُ وَلَعَنَ أَمَانِكَ. May Allah curse you and curse your peace. أَتُؤَمِّنُنِي وَابْنُ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ لَا أَمَانَ لَهُ. You give me peace and the son of Rasulullah does not have peace, does not have aman. You are making me happy. You think you are making me happy by making me peace, and the son of Rasulullah does not have aman. لَعَنَكَ اللَّهُ وَلَعَنَ أَمَانِكَ. This was Abu al-Fadl Abbas. If Yusuf alayhi salam had 11 brothers who conspired against him, Imam Hussein had one brother that is worthier than 11 brothers. One brother that is equivalent to one army. When Abu al-Fadl Abbas alayhi salam sought permission to enter the battlefield, he was the only one remaining. All of the men had gone. All of the companions had gone. Habib ibn Mulana